to Representative Casten, and then we'll go into a recess for 15 minutes. Rep. Casten, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to all our members. Mr. Skelly, it's a pleasure to see you. Maybe one former energy developer to a current one. I've long maintained no one really understands the financial, the regulatory, all of the barriers to building projects like someone who's been in the trenches as long as you have. Americans for Clean Energy Grid reported that as of 2019, there was 734 gigawatts, basically 73% of our entire grid, stuck in interconnection queues, mostly waiting for debates over who's going to be responsible for paying for the transmission upgrades. Meantime, in Illinois, where I live, the Sioux Green project, that is a HVDC, no generation associated with it, would bring cheap renewable energy from Iowa into Chicago markets, ease congestion, is hung up in generator interconnection queues. Last month, I introduced a bill with Senator Heinrich that would require FERC to issue a rule making on interregional transmission that would explicitly recognize the benefit of low CO2 sources and bring them online quicker. But what I wonder, Mr. Skelly, is if that's enough. We've got this problem that I don't think any of you have addressed, but I want to give you the chance to talk about it, given some of your history. We got a real problem in ISO RTO governance. The governance structures of those organizations is often dictated by members they may have the best of intentions, but as you know well, they've got a vested economic interest, sometimes in maintaining congestion and high prices in their region, which is precisely the problem that these projects we're talking about would alleviate. Can you just speak a little bit from your experience about some of the issues with ISO RTO governance? And if you were king tomorrow, do you have any easy fixes that would still recognize their critical need and recognize the expertise of their members, but get rid of some of those conflicts of interest?
Yeah, I mean, having suffered personally at the hands of a generator who didn't want us to interconnect on a number of occasions, it really is an issue. And it does feel like an area ripe for FERC action, and restructuring the governance of the RTOs to accommodate more entrants, okay, which is really what we're talking about. We're talking about enhancing competition by permitting more folks to enter the process. I think it would be very helpful. And Texas, I think, has a great example of that. The ERCOT interconnection process is very straightforward. It's fast. You get quick results. You're then in the energy market, and you're kind of on your own whether or not you're going to make money. But it's a process that has proven gets a lot of generation online quickly.
I'd love for you to comment on this, Ms. Fisher. I mean, a lot of the people who are in those governance decisions are your members. Would you agree with the issue as I've framed it, and to the extent that you can? What do you think it would take to get some of your members to really advocate for the changes necessary to essentially do something that may be, against their short-term economic interests?
Thank you very much for the question, Representative. I might not fully agree that people enjoy keeping congestion functioning for the purpose of increasing prices, but I think everyone agrees that ISO RTO governance hinders progress and makes it difficult for people to make decisions within those structures quickly and in a time frame that's consistent with the problems we're trying to solve. I think everyone's concerned about generator interconnection queues and how long they are and how potentially inefficient those processes are, and I look forward to FERC working with the governance of those entities to figure out how to move things through that queue more quickly, how to allocate costs for generators who are trying to interconnect more quickly. I don't think anyone thinks that those processes are as efficient as they need to be, despite the literally sometimes thousands and thousands of people who participate in them.
Okay, well, I'm getting near the end of my time, but I'd welcome any of your thoughts on legislatively. I think it's very easy for us all in this body to punt to FERC. But since what are we waiting 20 years on some of these things? I take your comments that Ms. Apsey that Order 1000 wasn't perfect, but the core is the same issue, right? That there's just these conflicts of interest between groups, especially when we get to interregional connections. I guess I would just remind everybody, including my friend Mr. Crenshaw, that it's comparatively really easy to permit gas pipelines in this country. We have made it chronically difficult to permit transmission, and a big part of that is the governance structure. A big part of that is the failure to have a single point of control on these projects. And welcome all of your thoughts on what we might do legislatively to move that a little bit faster than the snail's pace that's moved in the last 30 years. Thank you, and I yield back.
Thank you, Rep. Casten. So we will reconvene the committee